22, Denishka Canales. And now introducing Team Dominican Republic. Number 1, JC Hernandez. Number 2, Maria Marta. Number 3, Jennifer Jimenez. Number 4, Jelani Zapata. Number 6, Ana Milena de Los Angeles. Number 7, Genesis Evangelista. Number 8, Charlene Frias. Number 12, Marlon Caceres. Number 13, Yoseles Reynoso. Number 14, Jimmy Rodriguez. Number 15, Suheri Monsa. Number 23, Jennifer Ramirez. Head coach is Teresa Duran. Assistant coaches are Miguel Reyes and Yudis Reynoso. And now at this time, we ask that you please rise, if you are able, remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem of Puerto Rico. Please remain standing for the playing of the Dominican Republic national anthem. The officials for tonight's game, Marcos Benito from Brazil, Juan Fernandez from Argentina.
Good evening and welcome to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and the Expo Center at Hall D, just north of downtown Edmonton for the Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament. And there you see our three officials for tonight's opening game, which will feature Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. My name is Doug McLean, pleased to be joined by Brian Swain. And Brian, certainly in Edmonton, it's really exciting to have international basketball back in the city.
It's a lot of excitement in the city building towards this. Of course, we'll see the home team, the host team, I should say, Canada will be in action later tonight. But this is it, Doug. This is where the road to Tokyo 2020 starts. I was doing the math. 36 weeks tomorrow to the opening ceremonies. So I mean, it's coming up quick, and but these teams they have a long road ahead of themselves to get to the Olympic Games, and this is where it begins here tonight.
And we'll talk about that over the course of tonight and the weekend. Of course, you mentioned it, Brian. First up, we've got Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, followed by Canada and Cuba. There you take a look at the starting 5 for Puerto Rico, and there is a lot on the line. 2 teams that finish 1-2 here this weekend in Edmonton will advance to the qualifying event, which will take place in February. And those tournaments, the top 3 teams from each of those tournaments across the globe will advance to the Tokyo Olympics, as there you see the starting 5 for Dominican Republic.
Yeah, and this is a very important game for both of these teams. Judging by the rankings at least coming into this, the favorites are Cuba and Canada. So if one of these 2 teams is going to try and sneak into the top 2, they're going to want to win this game and put themselves in a position where if they beat Cuba or Canada later on in the tournament, they could finish in that top spot or one of those top 2 spots. So this is a very, very important game for these 2 teams if they're going to look to make a run here.
You mentioned the latest FIBA rankings, which are out. There you get a look at head coach Juana Teresa Duran Vallejo of Dominican Republic. But the current rankings, Canada in the latest rankings as of last week, number 4 in the world. Followed in terms of the teams that are here right now, followed by Puerto Rico at 24, Cuba at 26, and Dominican Republic at 40. There you see Gerardo Batista, the head coach of Puerto Rico. And these teams also very familiar with each other, as these 4 teams were in the same group at the FIBA America Cup back in September, where the United States won, Canada finished second.
Yeah, it hasn't even been 2 months, and they're renewing acquaintances again. So that should make for great basketball. That familiarity amongst the teams would certainly have allowed coaches to maybe be a bit more prepared for these opponents than they would have been under normal circumstances. And so I'm expecting some very high-level basketball.
In that tournament, Puerto Rico came away with a big 81-56 win over Dominican Republic. So the task at hand for Dominican Republic here today is obviously win, but keep it closer than that 25-point win back in September.
Right, as I mentioned, I mean, this is it for Puerto Rico. If they want to get going and give themselves a chance to finish in one of those top 2 spots and move on to the February qualifying tournament, this is crucial here tonight.
Locations of those qualifying tournaments have not yet been established. And of course, there are other pre-qualifying tournaments happening around the world this weekend. One in Argentina, we already have a score from that one, where the United States knocked off Brazil in each team's opener. Another one in Mozambique, one in New Zealand. So we'll touch on those a little bit as well throughout the evening. It'll be Lozada Cabaj for Puerto Rico, who wins the tip over Reynoso of Dominican Republic. From left to right on your screen in the red jerseys with white and blue trim is Puerto Rico. And from right to left here in the first half. And there's a triple knocked down early by Pamela Rosado. Yes, from right to left on your screen in the white with blue, it is Dominican Republic. Again, thanks for tuning in no matter where you're watching. We appreciate it and hope you're set for a really good night of basketball. Initial miss there by Reynoso. Kick out, extra pass. Zapata short on that 3. Rebound by Lozada Cabaj. Quickly back up the floor. Here is Rosado. O'Neal for 3. And quickly, Puerto Rico with a 6-0 lead. We just passed the 1-minute mark.
Back-to-back trades, and they've got themselves a great start.
Ramirez finds number 4, Zapata. Puts it on the floor. Jumper a little strong. Rebound, Puerto Rico. Rosado. Swings it over. O'Neal short on that 3, and that ball will bounce out of bounds, and it will be possession Dominican Republic.
Puerto Rico's not shy about putting up the 3-point shot here early.
put up 80 points twice in the America Cup, 80-55 over Cuba, and as we mentioned earlier, 81-56 over Dominican Republic. They fell to Canada 78-50.
You can certainly see if they get hot, they can put up a lot of points in a hurry.
O'Neill on the steal. She gets fouled from behind. So that'll be the first team foul on Dominican Republic here in the first quarter. Zone look here from Dominican Republic. Rosado swings it across. O'Neill, three, knocks another one down. 9-0 early Puerto Rico.
They have just come out launching shots, and they are dropping Jennifer O'Neill 2 for 3 from the outside already. Pamela Rosado's also added a triple, and it's 9-0.
And that will go off the leg of number 15, Suheiri Monsak. And we've got a timeout called in the early going. Dominican Republic wants to talk this over. Not even 2.5 minutes in, down 9-0. Brian, I mean, like you said, right now it's been hot outside shooting from Puerto Rico, and for Dominican Republic, failure to find any execution at all at the offensive end.
Yeah, well, this is getting going in a hurry here real quick. And Puerto Rico, obviously, I mean, off to a fantastic start, and the Dominicans don't want to let this get away. They're not going to be able to win a shootout if this turns into that kind of a game, you know. So
you got to look there. The two O'Neill threes. O'Neill, a native of the Bronx, New York, played with the Kentucky Wildcats. He's also spent a little bit of time playing in the WNBA.
And she was actually here in Edmonton as part of the 2015 FIBA Americas tournament, which of course was won by Canada. That was a direct Olympic qualifier back then.
Yes. Numerous players from that tournament are back here in Edmonton, so familiar.
That tournament was held in August in the heart of the summer. If they would have arrived earlier this week, they would have got a rude welcome as we had a blast of winter. But it's warming up a little bit now, and certainly it's warming up inside here with the hot shooting from the outside to start the game.
Yeah, the Canadians, some of the Canadians are even saying, coming back from various places around the world where they're playing professionally, that it was a bit of a rude awakening. But for those from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Cuba, Canadians go there at this time of year, not the other way around typically, but nonetheless, certainly happy to have them in our fair city and in Canada. And Quinones gets hit by Ramirez, so she will head to the line for three.
That's an old-fashioned three. They've been.
You can see just the extra little box out there by Ramirez as she stepped right into Quinones. You got to let the shooter come down. Isalise Quinones hits the first. Native of Monterey, California. One of a few NCAA graduates. She played with the Dartmouth Big Green in the Ivy League. And she is perfect at the stripe. Substitution coming in for Dominican Republic. It'll be Maria Marte.
Well, the Dominicans have to do something. I mean, there's a lot of time left in this game. We're only 2.5 minutes in, so lots of time to play. But you said if you're not an explosive scoring team, you can't let the gap get that large this early.
And there's the best offensive execution of the night so far for Dominican Republic, and Reynoso will earn herself a trip to the free throw line. That foul will go to number 24, Yasmin Guathme of Puerto Rico. And Dominican Republic on the board for the first time here in this pre-qualifying tournament. Misses the second. Nice box out there by Guathme. And Puerto Rico back on the attack. Here is O'Neill, guarded very closely there by, that's number 7, Genesis Evangelista.
Well, Well, they can score 2-pointers too, as it turns out. And look at this, we have a 13-point gap already here. The game just barely 3 minutes old.
Monsac finds Evangelista, and that one turned over. Good job defensively by Puerto Rico, and it's going to be off the leg, I believe, there of Monsac.
Puerto Rico's obviously, I mean, they're putting up big offensive numbers here early, but you got to like what they've done defensively as well. They're not giving the Dominicans much chance to get anything set up, creating turnovers, contesting shots.
Dominican Republic goes man-to-man here now, and we'll have a foul on that attempted pass by O'Neill.
Dominicans so far have three field goal attempts and 3 turnovers. So it's when you got as many turnovers as you have shots, that's not going to help when you know you're up against a strong defense.
Not a recipe for success typically. Foul there on Genesis Evangelista. And Charlene Frias into the game now for Dominican Republic, number 8. Guathme loses it momentarily, gets it back, 3 on the shot clock. Little runner tried to make not sure if he lost it midair and then tried to force a pass, but nonetheless, it's a turnover and Dominican Republic back the other way. Good rotation defensively there by O'Neill, who's been all over the floor here in this opening quarter. And she'll take a huge bump from Reynoso.
She's been causing havoc at both ends of the court so far.
See, does job there, just drop the shoulder in, take the contact from Reynoso, earn herself a trip to the line.
O'Neill already with 8 points and 2 steals. She'll look to add to that point total here.
Knocks down another one, currently playing professionally in Poland with Artego Bydgoszcz. And I'm sure I destroyed that second part of that name.
Well, it sounded good anyway. You know, if you hadn't said anything, I would believe you. I would believe you got that right. But I know, you know what, the real thrill about this, Doug, is I know we have an international audience, so anybody wants to tweet Doug,
hey, and
I don't know.
Having done enough international stuff myself, and obviously you want to get names right. I mean, you certainly respect that. You want to do it properly, but I've been corrected many times in many countries.
Well, we'd rather be corrected than get it right
that's
next
exactly
time
right.
than keep making the same mistake.
I definitely appreciate that. 3 on the shot clock. Dominican Republic will retain possession. 5:35 remaining here in the opening quarter. And they get a good look off and draw a foul. Nice job by Dominican Republic with time winding down on the shot clock to at least earn themselves a trip to the free throw line.
Yeah, nice play there off the inbounds.
Zapata just flared to the opposite short corner, and they were able to find her, and she will head to the free throw line, knocks it down. Julady Zapata, 9.4 points a game at AmeriCup back in September, which was held in Puerto Rico.
Dominican with all 3 of their points here so far from the line, so if that's the way to get themselves back in the game, draw some contact, get to the line, hit free throws, and that's the recipe.
1-3-1 full court zone pressure shown by Dominican Republic, but handled very well by Puerto Rico, and it results in another triple. That one again for Rosado.
That is the 4th of the game already. The game not even 5 minutes old.
Nice job there on the cut by Frias, found by Zapata.
Yeah, that's 2 consecutive possessions now for the Dominican. They've had at least nice execution on the offensive end, so that's something they can build on as they try and claw their way back into this game.
Another foul though on Dominican Republic, a little over exuberant on that trap. And that foul will go to Marta.
5th foul already for the Dominicans.
Rosado for Puerto Rico will take a seat into the game for the first time. Deshali Salaman. And Quinones, there you see her back at the free throw line as mentioned. NCAA graduate, just graduated this spring in fact, from Dartmouth. second team All Ivy League in this, her final NCAA season. And that second free throw missed. First miss, if I'm not mistaken, at the line so far for Puerto Rico.
Yeah, they're almost perfect across the board. They've missed just one shot from the field, and as you mentioned, Doug, that was their first free throw miss. So they have come out guns a-blazing.
Zapata, and there's going to be a moving screen called. That one will go on Caceres. O'Neal, very nice job defensively. But Caceres came over with that screen and just did not get her feet set.
No, so yeah, that was a good call. Not much protest coming from the Dominicans on that call.
Maldonado back to Salomon, takes a screen from Quinones. Quinones for three, and another one knocked down. Cannot give this team open looks, and right now Dominican Republic struggling at both ends of the floor. Frias kicks it out into the corner. Hernandez, that one off the side of the backboard, rebounded by Maldonado. Quickly up ahead, no contact, and Zapata cleans up the rebound, and up the floor comes Dominican Republic. Three a little bit strong there for Frias. Now 3-on-2. Nice bounce pass from Salomon to Quinones, as she looks just behind us to the contingent of Puerto Rican fans that are on their feet. Fans continuing to file in here to the Expo Center.
Yeah, the crowd should certainly start to pick up as it gets closer to Canada. But yeah, you mentioned I think for people like us, Doug, it's really neat to see events like this where we may not have a lot of people from Puerto Rico or Dominican in our city, but we know that they're going to be here supporting their country and be loud and proud in events like this, and it's really cool. It really, it really gives you a wonderful perspective of sport and just the international community.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I was literally just in a meeting a few hours ago talking about some international sporting events, and back when Edmonton was bidding for the Commonwealth Games, quick research done at that time to indicate that in Edmonton were 87 representatives from 87 of the countries participating in the Commonwealth Games. So pretty wide range of people living in our city, and certainly we know, as we can tell from behind us, Puerto Rico very well represented.
And I certainly expect, obviously Canada is going to have a strong contingent here later, but for Cuba as well, I think we'll see quite a few supporters out. So it's going to be an awful lot of fun. Has not been fun here so far, though, early for the Dominican Republic, down 20.
And we'll get a hold. This one's going to go on a very frustrated Charlene Frias.
Well, fouls are just racking up here right now for the Dominicans.
You can see, Brian, you can see that hold right in the middle, and then just the extra little swipe at Maldonado. So Anushka Maldonado will head to the free throw line.
Team fouls already. Puerto Ricans have been making them pay. As they knock down another one, they're now 8 of 9 from the stripe.
Basket goes. I think Dominican Republic was in early, is why the whistle blew. Evangelista. Guarded by Gibson. A nice take there off the window and home.
Yeah, nice soft touch there, getting inside the lane and putting that home.
Nice late dish by Salomon. Gets the ball back, kicks it out. Three, and guess what? Another one knocked down. Kuzmanik, drops that one. 30-7.
Death taxes and the Puerto Ricans from downtown, eh? Wow.
And it's going to be a hold on Salomon.
Well, lost in this offensive barrage is the fact that the Dominicans are seeming to find a little bit more rhythm here on the offensive end. We've seen them get a couple nice shots off. They scored last time. They're drawing some fouls, but I mean, when you're shooting threes like the Puerto Ricans are, there's not much you can do. Nice feed there.
Shot won't go for Rodriguez, and back up the floor again is Salomon. Gets it back, thought about a three, swings it across, Gibson. And another one. I'm running out of things to say here right now. Kuzmanik, 33-7. It is all Puerto Rico right now here in Edmonton.
We might have to break open the record book because that's 7 3-pointers already here in the first quarter. I can't imagine that that's got to be getting close to some kind of groundbreaking achievement. There's time left too, and here we go again.
That one a little strong, but open, clean looks right now for Puerto Rico, and they'll reset. Here's Salomon on the floor, tried to kick it out. She'll draw a foul. They'll add Gibson to her right. And here you'll see Salomon, that quick crossover, and the foul is going to be, and they will go, could have had a couple options, I think, but they'll go to Evangelista. That's her second. So
the Puerto Ricans actually missed a 3-pointer, and then but they get the rebound and get back to the line. So everything is going their way right now.
Salomon from Carolina, Puerto Rico. She too played in the NCAA. Back in 2010, scored 44 points in a game, which at the time was a South Atlantic Conference record. I wasn't able to find if it still is a record, but I have to think it's, if it's not, it's up there.
I would not be surprised.
Not at Lincoln Memorial, where she played, NCAA Division II school.
She's, she's an absolute dynamo out there. She's already kind of emerging as one of the most entertaining players in this game. Very quick, very creative too.
And coming off the bench, so that's showing pretty good depth for this Puerto Rican team when you can bring her in off the bench. De Los Angeles to inbound. Now Evangelista swings it across. Into the corner, Monsac. A good matchup there on Salomon. But a miss by Hernandez, and back up the floor comes Puerto Rico. Kuzmanik. Well, swung around. Salomon left wide open, in and out. So 2 straight misses for Puerto Rico. Monsac to Hernandez. Chasey Hernandez, that one is deflected out of bounds by Puerto Rico. Swung across, Hernandez, a little runner, won't go, rebound. Nicely done by Rodriguez. Monsac, that ball might have been deflected, but it goes.
That's a nice play there by the Dominicans. Worked hard to grab that offensive rebound. You're right, it may have been deflected, but they get rewarded with a bucket, and few and far between so far.
Kuzmanik trying to find some help somewhere. And Salomon could not catch up to that pass. Nice job on the quick trap by Dominican Republic, forcing the turnover.
Yeah, the Dominicans are playing better defense here in the latter portion here of the first quarter.
Bringing up the floor is Genesis Evangelista. Monsac, and that's going to be a travel. Tried to draw the contact, but it was a good job defensively by Puerto Rico. You'll see it right there, just to take and absorb that did Maldonado, and that forced the travel. So well played by Anushka Maldonado. Forces another turnover, and that could have been a travel, but a nice play by Salomon, who was off balance, took the extra step, but in air, fired it up as time wound down. And not much more you can say about the success of that opening quarter for Puerto Rico. 35-9 through 10 minutes of play, and they really controlled it from the opening tip, Brian.
Yeah, they came out, and I mean, three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer. It was that first time out, and I believe it was it 11 or 12 nothing. And there we see, of course, we're looking at the numbers now, and that's after they missed their last 3 pointers.
That's
they
right.
were 7 and 8 for 1 point. I mean, anytime anybody comes out and hits 7 of their 8 first 3 pointers, I don't care if it's, I don't care if you're 6-year-olds playing in the gym or if you're at the NBA or if you're a men or a women's team. That is a recipe for success. And that was an impressive shooting clinic that we saw put on here in the first quarter from Puerto Rico.
And certainly for Dominican Republic, a bit of a challenge, especially early defensively, dropping off, not able to defend the perimeter and close out on those good shooters of Puerto Rico, and that left them wide open. They had to hit the shots, but they had pretty open looks.
Right, and again, give them credit too for good ball movement. They were able to find the open shooters. They also did a good job creating shots off the break. So they're a speedy team, Puerto Rico, and they use that to their advantage here, building up this very large lead after 10 minutes.
Still lots of time to go, of course, 3 quarters left, but 35-9, a 26-point deficit is a tough one to overcome. As we mentioned earlier, in the FIBA America Cup, it was an 81-56 victory for Puerto Rico over Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico looking to make their first ever Olympic appearance, so is the Dominican Republic. So this is a very big weekend for both of these teams, because if you can get out of this weekend, you put yourself in a really good spot, considering no matter where you end up in the qualifying tournament in February, 3 out of those 4 teams are going through. You basically need to win 1 game and you get to book your ticket to Tokyo.
Right, I mean, it's really an interesting, almost a juxtaposition in a way, in that these teams go into this weekend knowing that their dreams could be ended within 2 days, or they could be in a position, Doug, like you say, they have the 3 out of 4 chance of reaching the Olympics. And I guess I can't imagine how the emotions, both the excitements and the nerves that must bring out in all these athletes. A lot of pressure here this weekend. Certainly the Puerto Ricans have answered that call early.
Yeah, they have definitely been the better of the 2 teams. That's probably the most obvious statement I could have possibly made. Quinones, 3 contested that time by Ramirez, but still knocked down. Better job defensively there by Ramirez to close out. Here is Zapata. Pass a little bit in behind to Los Angeles. And now Monsac. Strong take there by Dominican Republic. That was 23, Yennefer Ramirez.
I think one of the notable stats here from the first quarter, Doug, that really jumps out at me is the Dominicans 2 assists to 8 turnovers, while the Puerto Ricans 8 assists to 2 turnovers. So that also tells you a lot. That's how they're getting these shots.
Yeah, 4-to-1 assist turnover ratio. That's a pretty good number if you're, as a team, collectively. Nice
they
job
share
here.
the ball really well.
Ramirez does a nice job breaking down O'Neal, who's back into the game. Or Rosado, I should say. My apologies. Back into the game for Puerto Rico. And that one will rattle home for Yennefer Ramirez. And thanks for tuning in. Basket goes. Looks like, again, Puerto Rico was in a little bit early. That's certainly a call you don't see as commonly in North America. We've already seen 2 of those blown. I mean, both baskets went. Quinones takes contact, up and in. They've hit 40, 11 minutes into this game. But again, quickly back to the numbers. Rebounds pretty even, 9-7 in favor of Puerto Rico. Fouls, 8-3. We talked about that early on, and that's going to be a shot clock violation. I wonder if that wasn't reset to 20. Okay, they're going to say it was 24. That seemed like an awfully quick shot clock.
That did. I'll be honest. I did not catch it if it was something happened on the reset. But yeah,
I think it may have just gone to 14 because that was awfully fast.
Well, time flies when you're having fun, and certainly the Puerto Ricans are having fun right now.
Started the game on a 12-0 run. And down goes Zapata. Hopefully she's okay. Just lost control of the ball, and then not sure if she might have injured herself trying to catch up to it.
Yeah, she did a nice job. Here we see she got the turnover.
Just goes off her knee,
yeah.
You can see there. You can see, just that left, almost hyperextended that left knee as she kind of reached out for that ball. And those can be, I'm clearly no doctor, but those can be very painful.
Anyone who's played or seen, it's it's something that unfortunately is an injury we see every now and again in basketball, and anyone who's played it too and experienced that knows that she's obviously in a great deal of discomfort right now.
Yeah, almost tried to extend herself just to reach out to catch up to that ball, and training staff out working with her. And there I think you see the discussion around I think it's on substitutions, but I have a funny feeling they're also talking about that shot clock situation a couple minutes ago. And nice job there by Quinones and Puerto Rico to help her up. And yeah, she is in a lot of pain, you can tell, and not putting any pressure on that left leg. Is Julati Zapata, plays for Club del Sur, now being helped off, and great sportsmanship shown there by Quinones to help her over to the Dominican Republic bench. Zapata played 6:37 in that opening quarter. 2 points, both of them at the free throw line. Now the aforementioned Quinones kicks it into the corner. Guess what? Rosado one more time.
Rosado now, she's a perfect 3 for 3 from the outside.
Here is Monsac, and that ball's turned over. Quinones will bring it up herself.
You see again here the speed, getting up the floor, quickly creating a shot, great ball movement.
And that would be a 2 if it goes, just had her foot on the line.
That's probably why it didn't go.
Maybe, yeah, just a little too close, even by mere millimeters. Evangelista over to Ramirez. Reynoso hands it off. De Los Angeles will draw the foul. Dominican Republic has not had a lot going offensively, but they have been able to attack down the middle. When they have had some success, they've been able to get decent looks to about 6-7 feet down the middle of the lane.
Just haven't had enough of them. Obviously, a lot of turnovers. But they're another great example there, Doug. Shot doesn't drop, but have reset.
It did reset, and it should not have. I think there still would have been time on the clock, but it should not have reset as it did.
Obviously, you could tell too with the way she threw that shot up.
She thought she was running out of time. Monsac on the floor, goes right into traffic. Both Quinones and Lozada Cabaj just stood there, held their ground. You get a good look at it right here. And Monsac, looking back at the official, just lost the ball out of bounds. Jimenez Frias into the game for Dominican Republic, as well as number 14, Yamila Rodriguez. And here is Jennifer O'Neal, former Kentucky Wildcat. Nice take by Lozada Cabaj. Able to get herself right to the low block with that spin, and then seals inside of number 12, Marlon Caceres. So she, with the old-fashioned three-point play right there. And that is the one thing that certainly stood out for me here in the early going, and I've mentioned it already, is the depth of Puerto Rico and how they've been able to cycle through, but there has been zero drop in play at all when the bench has come on the floor.
Yeah, that's a tremendous point too. I mean, obviously they set the tone with that early 12-0 run to take the big lead. But everyone who's come in, every lineup they used from that point on has just been able to maintain this momentum.
And Lozada Cabaj, who did start, sat down for a bit and has come back. And there's another jumper, long jumper knocked down by Yasmin Guathme.
I think a big part of the depth of this team too, Doug, is the point guard play.
Yep. Up ahead, Rosado, easy deuce. And Dominican Republic, you can just tell their body language right now as they look up at the scoreboard. Almost an unbelievable scoreline right now, 53-11.
Yeah, you know what, they're probably a little bit shell-shocked, and obviously the situation with their teammate being injured too is, it's got to be a tough mind state for them to deal with right now. And you know what, there's so much time left in this game, and point differentials matter, of course, obviously in FIBA tournaments.
Yep. Evangelista three off the back rim, Lozada Cabaj with the board.
You know, you may not make up the 42-point deficit, but every point matters. The closer you can get it, the better.
That's a great entry pass by Guathme on the seal, which was well done by Quinones, but a good job defensively. Allows Dominican Republic to get back up the floor to chip away at this large Puerto Rico lead.
A rare basket in transition there. They have not had many opportunities to get out and run.
O'Neal kicks it out short by Lozada Cabaj, and now here comes Evangelista. Jimenez three will not drop. No box out on Evangelista, yet Puerto Rico still comes up with the basketball. Nearly turns over off the head of Evangelista, and now Puerto Rico on the break. Guathme able to work around Frias for the score. And we've got another timeout coming for Dominican Republic. If you're just tuning in, that is not a typo. It is 55-13 right now with 4:12 still remaining in the second quarter here from Edmonton.
And just some unreal stats. The assist to turnovers for Puerto Rico, 13-3 as opposed to 2-14 for the Dominican Republic. But of course, excuse me, the big story has been the outside shooting. I mean, 10 3-pointers already.
There you look at it right there, 0 for 6 for Dominican Republic, 10 of 16, so still in that 60% range for Puerto Rico.
You know what's quite remarkable about that number too? That's a plus 30 there from the outside.
Yeah.
But even if you take away those 30 off the board, they're still ahead by 12. I mean, you know what? Just to be frank, they've dominated in every facet of the game to this point.
You see that take a few minutes ago from Evangelista. And there you see on this play here, the hustle of Puerto Rico, able to get to that loose ball even after there was no box out on Evangelista, and they still end up with it. Some bounces going their way too, but it leads yet again to another deuce in transition.
And I think that it may be overshadowed a little bit by their outside shooting, but I think they've been very effective. The Puerto Ricans have been very effective in the transition game. They've got speed. They've been able to use out the score and get shots off the break. And the Dominicans have shown a bit of ability to run too, but they've just not been in a position to do it very often. Well, now we got a bit of music playing in the building. Maybe that'll spark a run here.
Jimenez to Frias. Left lane, left alone, but a nice help sliding over was Maldonado for the block. Ali Gibson into the game now. Here is Torres. Loose ball, Salomon picks it up, off the window and home. Puerto Rico have been very good getting the loose balls and generating those second chance opportunities. Jimenez guarded very closely, nearly turned over, and it is now turned over as Charlene Frias could not handle that ball.
No let-up in the Puerto Rican team here at all. They're, with the way they're playing, you'd think they were down 44.
Danejka Canales into the game for the first time for Puerto Rico on that last possession, number 22. Also Ashley Torres, number 10. 3 goes. Joining the party is Anushka Maldonado.
There's already 8 players on this team that have played more than 5 minutes in this game. So to your point about the depth, Doug.
Hernandez on the floor, guarded closely by Salomon. Nice take for Chasey Hernandez. But Puerto Rico explodes up the floor. Oh, what a play by Ali Gibson. Didn't even come down on that rebound off the initial miss by Canales.
Well, they're so quick. I mean, you see the Dominican get the shot on one side, but they quickly get back on the attack. And look at how many players they have already around the basket.
And no one puts a body on Gibson, able to grab that board, go right back up with it. As they now lead 62-15. And we've got a foul against Puerto Rico. That'll be their 4th here in the second quarter.
Of course, they got into a lot of foul trouble there in the first quarter.
That one goes on Maldonado. That's her first.
Still don't have any players with more than 2.
Substitution for Dominican Republic. Marta into the game for number 8, Charlene Frias. And that will be over and back as a nice job on the hustle there by Salomon. And just caused enough of an issue. You can see the ball just land on the opposite side of the timeline, and it is Puerto Rico basketball. 2.5 to go here in the first half. Doug McLean along with Brian Swain. Thanks for tuning in here to the pre-qualifying tournament in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Nice look on that cut to Gibson. Ball deflects out of bounds, and it will be a remaining Puerto Rico ball. Checking into the game now is Yoseles Reynoso.
Puerto Rico's showing a lot of creativity offensively.
Good sound fundamentals in terms of how they've stepped through down low. Good cutters late, like you saw in that last possession. Maldonado with the ball now. That ball stolen by Marta. But already back in transition, Puerto Rico leads to a rebound and their ability to get out on the break themselves. Salomon back to Torres, loses it on the way up. And Dominican Republic with Jimenez will bring the ball up the floor. Evangelista with Salomon on her. Has to go up and under, and a nice job there. Patience shown by Genesis Evangelista. Plays with Mauricio Baez. Maldonado, Anushka Maldonado. Yet another 3 for Puerto Rico. One of the best shooting performances I've seen from any team, anywhere, in the last 12 months. Evangelista finds the cutting Jimenez, and that basket will go. Nice cut. Sorry, that was Marta. My mistake. You see her cutting right in front of Danechka Canales.
Yeah, you get a look at it there. Well executed play. It's nice to see them get rewarded with the basket and a trip to the line.
Maria Marta, 2.8 points a game at the AmeriCup in 19. Some full court pressure again shown by Dominican Republic. Broken fairly easily by Puerto Rico. Corner Canales, 3, strong. Rebound Maldonado, and she's hit on the arm going up by Ana Miguelina de Los Angeles.
And another offensive rebound. It just seems when the Dominicans are forcing the miss, the Puerto Ricans are getting themselves that second chance, and they're usually capitalizing on that second opportunity if they're not getting it on the first.
Here is Maldonado, native of Roy, Washington. Not too far from here, relatively speaking, but a hour and a half flight or so to Seattle. Played her college basketball at Texas Rio Grande Valley in the Western Athletic Conference.
Is that the Vipers?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken. Nicely done, Brian Swain.
All right.
Canales on the break. Nice job defensively in transition by Reynoso. Shot won't go for De Los Angeles. Drop the shoulder in trying to create a little separation. Salaman. And she is bumped on the closeout by Yoselis Reynoso.
Sorry, Doug. I'm really impressed with the quickness up and down the lineup from Puerto Rico. All 5 players able to get it very quickly on the break. It's just causing all kinds of headaches for the Dominican Republic.
Well, it's really been led by 4. It's been Jennifer O'Neill. It's been Pamela Rosado. Shali Salaman, as well as Jasmine Guathme. Those have really been the 4 that have been able to push the pace so far for Puerto Rico.
Well, you combine that with the deadly accurate shooting they've shown so far. I mean, that is tough to beat. Very tough to beat.
Gibson cut down the lane and then held up. Torres a little strong on that layup. Jimenez down the middle, late dish to Marta. Drops it home. (67-22).
The Dominicans starting to get in a little bit of offensive rhythm here late.
And Gibson with that floater ends up being knocked out of bounds by Reynoso. She's telling Canales, you got to come to the ball, help me out.
Nice effort there by Reynoso to prevent that play from materializing.
Salaman always knows where her teammates are. Time wound down in the quarter. They did not get that shot off, but I'm not sure if you're Puerto Rico, if you could have written a better script, both in terms of how they played offensively and defensively. 67-22 at halftime as they absolutely dominate Dominican Republic.
Yeah, just an unbelievable performance. It started with that 12-0 run, and it's just snowballed from there. They have not taken their foot off the gas. As you mentioned, Doug, executing very well offensively, dominating defensively, and we'll get a look at the numbers now. That really, well, there it is right there. That tells the tale.
Yeah, when you're shooting 60% from the field, let alone 60% as well from the three-point line, that's a pretty good half. I mean, Dominican Republic, 40% from the field is not an awful number.
Not at all.
And yet they find themselves down where they are here right now by 45.
Of course, they haven't had a lot of attempts either.
17 turnovers, that's another big challenge for Dominican Republic. Created in large part by what you mentioned before, the quickness of Puerto Rico.
Well, meanwhile, at the other end of the floor, it's 15-5 assist to turnover ratio, which just speaks to the execution of Puerto Rico.
We are at halftime here in the first of our doubleheader at the Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament. Puerto Rico all over Dominican Republic, 67-22. My name is Doug McLean. He is Brian Swain. We're going to pause and be back later in about 10 minutes' time for the second half between Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic.
Fans, please welcome back to the courts in Puerto Rico. Toyota, the proud mobility partner of Canada Basketball. Toyota's partnership with Canada Basketball represents their commitment to mobility and movement for all, through vehicles, sports experiences, and more. Edmonton knows how to do winter right with outdoor patios, citywide snowball fights, deep freezer races, and a spectacular view of the Northern Lights. Winter in Edmonton may be cold, but it's never boring. Learn more at exploreedmonton.com.
Welcome back inside the Expo Center, just north of downtown Edmonton here in Alberta, Canada. Thanks for tuning in to this FIBA Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament game between Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. My name is Doug McLean, pleased to be joined by Brian Swain, and not much else we can say, Brian, really. I mean, 67-22 at halftime for Puerto Rico. It has been an absolutely dominating performance by the Puerto Ricans.
Well, you and I were just looking over some of the halftime stats, Doug, and some of the things that just jumped out at us and really tell the tale of the game. I mean, 28-2 points off turnover edge for Puerto Rico over the Dominican Republic. Biggest scoring run of the game has been a 15-0 run for Puerto Rico. The Dominicans haven't had consecutive buckets yet.
Here you get a look at Cuba. Cuba will take on Team Canada at 7:30 p.m. Edmonton time following this one, so probably about a half an hour or so after this one wraps up. The other interesting thing that I look at on the Puerto Rico side, only one player played over 13 minutes, and that was Isales Quinones. So they really were able to spread the minutes pretty well in that opening half.
Too. They all played, with the exception of one, all played at least 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone, you know what, you mentioned it a few times, the depth of this team, and they showed it because they just kept coming in waves. There was no drop-off from the minute they took that 12-0 lead.
4 assists for Dominican Republic, 17 turnovers for Puerto Rico, 15 assists, 5 turnovers. We looked at the shooting numbers just after the half ended. Dominican Republic 31% from the field, Puerto Rico 60%. There's a turnover now, Dominican Republic back the other way. 3-point shooting numbers, 0% for Dominican Republic, 0 for 6, while Puerto Rico 12 of 20, 60%, as Dominican Republic. And Monsac gets it to trim the lead to 43.
They have been playing better offensively, really, as the game has worn on. I mean, you know, and not to make light of anything, when the score is such a margin, you may not notice it, but there's some things they can look at. I mean, you know, this is one game. They still have a tournament in front of them. They still have an entire half of basketball here or there in front of them. And as we said, that point differential is important, as is just building things, getting confidence, working on things you can take to the next game.
Well, and of course, I mean, there's 20 minutes left. We don't want to write them off, but I mean, it's a massive deficit, so I think you're right. I mean, the reality is trying to find a way to build some momentum into the game that they will play on Saturday against Cuba, I think becomes extremely crucial for Dominican Republic right now. Just saw Julati Zapata come back to the Dominican Republic bench. Nice block. Sliding over was Reynoso, but Zapata, who looked like she hyperextended that left knee, was putting some weight on that leg, so that's a positive sign, but don't expect to see her back in this game based on how she was making her way back to the bench.
Well, it is good to see at least her back out here. And, you know, it was certainly at the time of the injury, it was obviously in a lot of discomfort. We didn't know, but good to see her out here and supporting her teammates as they try and get some things rolling and some positive things to build on here in the second half.
Marta, hard bounce pass into the elbow. Monsac, nice job there by Suheiri Monsac.
Love the enthusiasm too after scoring that basket. You see it right here.
Just a nice little drop of that right shoulder. Gets Lozada Cabaj leaning one way.
There's no quit in this squad. Not that I ever would have expected it, but it's, you know, I mean, it would be very easy to get down. They've come out here in the second half and obviously have re-energized themselves a little bit.
Free throw missed. Wathme swings it across. O'Neal, 3 strong. Now Dominican Republic turn it over. And Rosado to Guathme.
Look out.
Shot won't go with the left hand, so cold start for Puerto Rico, but after the incredible first half.
They have a bit of a margin for error at this point.
Monsac kicks it out. Reynoso short. Up again, Monsac, and she will be called for the travel. Came back down without putting the shot up. You'll get a good look at it. Quinones contesting that one.
Reynoso there showing the old school hook just before that. That was kind of, I don't see that very often. Respect for breaking that move out.
And here again, that 1-3-1 zone pressure for Dominican Republic. Around the back, look for Rosado. Quinones kicks it out. Rosado, 3, no good. The rebound, Monsac. And now a turnover. O'Neal takes it, kicks it off. Rosado, nice look. And Lozada,
what a play.
Drops it home.
They are playing some beautiful basketball right now. Hope we'll get a look at that play on our next break, because that was a pretty play.
Monsac at the elbow, nice job. And she'll draw another foul on Lozada.
Yeah, that's one thing that has really jumped out here to start the second half, is they've been able to draw contact and get fouls far more frequently than they were in the first half. And that's one way to start shaving some points off this lead.
2 team fouls on Puerto Rico here in this third quarter. Monsac played in the NCAA with Robert Morris. She was the Northeastern Conference Player of the Year back in 2005. Was actually elected to the Robert Morris University Athletics Hall of Fame back in 2014.
The Colonials, right?
Yes.
There we go. We may have past time here in the second half by playing Can You Guess the Name?
She scored 20 points and 13 rebounds when Dominican Republic played Puerto Rico at AmeriCup in September. Guathme almost has that one stolen, and it is turned over. And then turned right back over. Monsac puts that pass in behind Charlene Frias.
In spite of that, we are seeing some better defense here in the second half as well, too.
And you knew that Puerto Rico, you certainly felt they could not maintain the pace they had. Another turnover, 3-on-1. Nice dish, but not a bad foul there taken by Rosado. Forced Monsac to the line as you see that 3-on-1. And she just got an arm on Monsac as she went up. And that'll be the second foul on Rosado, third team foul.
It's been a positive start here. That's they've now outscored them 7-4. The Dominicans have outscored Puerto Rico here in the third quarter, early going. 3 minutes and change in. They've been more aggressive too, I think.
And again, that zone pressure. Rosado up ahead. Guathme, nice dish to Quinones. And sliding over to help was Chasey Hernandez, who will pick up the foul. But a good job breaking that 1-3-1. That's where that soft spot is. If you can get the ball there, those two soft spots in the deep corners, but that's a risky play to make, but a nice job in that case by Rosado getting it up ahead to Guathme.
Yeah, you just saw it there in the replay, and they've shown they can do that all night.
(71-30). Here is Monsac, a little bit of pressure shown by Puerto Rico now. Monsac blocked by Maldonado.
They got numbers again, look out.
Quinones, nice job, splits right in between Rodriguez and Jimenez. Still with the touch off the glass and in.
Well, they had the odd player rush there, took advantage of it, quickly got a shot up. Goes down again.
Hernandez slips it into Monsac, who's been really good here in the second half. That one blocked by Maldonado. Pass up ahead. O'Neill gets it to Rosado. Guathme, three, no good. They have not hit a three in this second half.
They've gone nearly 5 minutes without. It's unprecedented.
Monsac out at the three-point line and does a nice job. Gets herself back to the free throw line. So
is that the third foul she's drawn this quarter? Yep.
Puerto Rico does a nice job there of forcing Dominican Republic to the perimeter, but Monsac, recognizing there's no help in behind Maldonado, puts the ball on the floor, and like Ryan just said, earns herself another trip to the free throw line. One of the veterans of this Dominican Republic team, as I talked about earlier, no Olympic appearances. So they're looking to make history for their country on the women's side. They joined FIBA back in 1954. Current world ranking 40th. They're 9th in the Americas. They have had 4 appearances at the Pan American Games. Best finish was 6th place back in 1999 in Winnipeg and in 2003.
Monsac, looks like we have a lane violation here.
I believe so, because she'll get another look at the free throw line.
Monsac's team captain. She only had 2 points at halftime, and she has 9 in the quarter now. Like, she has come out and she has attacked. You can tell. And that's been her mindset. She is going to go at the Puerto Ricans.
She will take a seat. Marlon Caceres comes into the game for her.
A well-earned break for the captain.
And
continue to see the press.
And again, Puerto Rico does a nice job handling it.
Yep.
And a foul on Caceres. That'll be on the arm as she tried to defend that entry into the high post to Maldonado. Allie Gibson into the game for the first time in the second half. Maldonado! Another three, so they do get one here in this third quarter. It took them a little while, but they had set a fairly blistering pace in the opening 20 minutes.
Yeah, I might have to dust off the old record book here between games and see if they set a record there in the first quarter, because they 7 of 8 3-pointers to start this game. Just unbelievable.
Frias trying to work away, has to put it up, and it goes but won't count. Shot clock violation as Dominican Republic got really deep into the shot clock.
I thought she might have released it on time. I don't know if you got a better look at how the shot clock lined up.
I think it was a little late, but the official had a pretty good look at it. He waved it off right away.
Yeah.
Kuzmanik back into the game for Puerto Rico. Jennifer O'Neill will take a seat. Into the corner, Gibson. Three will not drop. And a foul for Maldonado.
Dominican's also been doing a better job on the glass here in the second half. Of course, in the first half, I mean, they were surrendering so many offensive rebounds that on the rare occasions they did get to stop, Puerto Rico was getting the board and scoring anyway, so.
Just a quick note, if you are looking at the live stats while you're watching our feed of the game, the score on the screen is correct, 76-31, not 78-31, as is shown on the live stats. So that is the 76-31 is the score that we are going with.
Fortunately, that 2-point discrepancy probably won't come into play.
I don't think it's going to matter, but I just wanted to point that out if anyone is watching both, why they're different. Caceres at the line. He's for Club Dosa professionally. And again, this full court pressure changed up a little bit here for Dominican Republic as they extend it. You can see just a bit of a bump there by number 13, Yosilis Reynoso. That is her third, team's third. Lozada hard to the rim. A little strong off the window, won't go. Reynoso, strong herself off the glass at the other end. Salaman. Guathme gets the screen from Lozada and hits the three.
Splash from the outside. It's a rare opportunity here, Doug, where we haven't seen much where both teams are running back and forth with the floor. We've had so many stoppages in this game.
It's been an interesting game in the sense of the pace that we've seen. Certainly Puerto Rico play up, but you're right, Brian. There have been a ton of fouls. And again, Dominican Republic has done a great job here in this third quarter getting themselves to the line.
Well, really with the press as well defensively from the Dominicans, yes, the Puerto Ricans have been able to break it, but they haven't. They've only got 14 points in the quarter, whereas they exceeded 30 in each of the first 2 quarters of the game. So what the Dominicans have at least done, have been able to slow the pace of this game and prevent this thing from spiraling, or the margin from growing even further.
And for Dominican Republic here in this third quarter, it's really been the bigs that have been effective. They've been able to draw their defenders out, put the ball on the floor, and get themselves to the free throw line. And Reynoso knocks down both. She'll take a seat, and Monsac will come back in.
It makes you kind of wonder, too, why in the first half we didn't see more of that.
Yeah, they've been able to space the floor pretty well here in this third quarter and open up some of those lanes. And here is that pressure, and very well executed press break by Puerto Rico. Turnover, Monsac quickly up to Caceres. She loses it. Ramirez blocked with 2 hands by Sofia Roma.
Don't see that very often. We'll get a look at that here. That was almost like a volleyball block.
Making her first appearance in this game is Roma, former Duke Blue Devil. Plays now professionally for Cangrilleras. Puerto Rico just not letting those traps come in that 1-3-1. There's a hold on the take by Gibson. That one will go on De Los Angeles. We just quickly put the ball on the floor on that closeout by De Los Angeles. And that one is the second for De Los Angeles, 4th for the Dominican Republic here in the third.
What's been amazing is that they've actually been racking up less fouls this quarter than they were in the first couple quarters, despite the fact that they've been playing this aggressive press defense.
Solomon. Wow, Solomon will not drop, but it was pretty on the way there.
Style points nonetheless.
Basically goes through 1, 2, 3, one player twice in number 3, Jimenez.
Basically the entire team almost. If there was anybody else on there, she probably would have gone through them too. The official got her way, she might have gone around him.
This is the first free throw. I mean, we know by the fact that she put those 44 points up back in her college days at Lincoln Memorial. 44 points that she can certainly score. Hits the second.
Well, from what we've seen so far here, there are a number of players on this team that can score.
80-35, 13 all is the scoring here in the third quarter. Thanks again for tuning in, no matter where you're watching, around the Americas or beyond. This FIBA Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament. Jimenez kicks it out for 3, off the back iron, won't go. Canales up ahead, Gibson finds Solomon, extra pass. Canales couldn't finish, but cleaning it up is Roma.
Well, that's the result when they get off in the break, and they haven't had many opportunities to do that because, obviously because of the press, but also the fact that they've been able to score on the other side. The Dominicans have and prevent them from getting out quickly. When they do, they're deadly.
Well, it's been those extra passes we've seen.
Yeah.
Almost bordering sometimes on a little too cute, but it's worked for them.
It's made for some fun basketball to watch.
It has. When I say too cute, I just simply mean that one player has a pretty easy chance to score and doesn't necessarily need to make that extra pass. regardless, like you said, it has looked good. Monsac.
We could just say they're being generous too.
And that's a travel. She tried to create a little bit of space between herself and Roma, but shuffled that pivot foot doing it. Team Canada out watching a little bit of the end of this game. Gibson controls it, and now here's Salaman.
Of course, Canada will be playing Puerto Rico on Saturday, and that, I believe, is a 5 o'clock local time tip-off.
5 o'clock here in Edmonton, yes.
So that's
Nice
7 o'clock
take.
Eastern.
Sorry, Brian, nice take there by Jimenez, but the rebound to Roman as she's falling out of bounds, able to save it. Salaman, again, an example there where she might have wanted to just go up with it even if she draws contact. Tried to make that extra pass back to Gibson right there, and the closing de Los Angeles able to force the turnover. Jennifer Jimenez. Los Angeles to Monsac, guarded out on the perimeter by Roma.
It'll take some time here too, and this has kind of been what they've done in the third quarter.
Monsac again on the floor. Long jumper will not go. Tipped away. Nice play by Gibson. But Jimenez does a nice job to corral it for Dominican Republic. Monsac, nice job. Quick dish down low to Marta.
Very rare occurrence here for the Dominicans if they had numbers tonight. They're able to capitalize.
No, you're right. Puerto Rico's been great in transition both ways here in this contest. Roma loses it, tipped away by Monsac, and now Gibson. Game clock winding down. Knocks down another one.
Well, that seems about right.
Kuzmanik that time drops one right at the buzzer. And through 3 quarters of play, 85-37. Puerto Rico up on Dominican Republic.
That, however, was certainly by far the strongest quarter we've seen for the Dominicans. They almost played them even. We'll just wait to get the official stats here, but
18-15 until that was the final in that third quarter. So it was really
Right.
that last triple.
well,
that
in the first 2 quarters, they scored 35 and 32 points respectively. So to hold them to 18, and a lot of that is obviously they were able to almost dictate the tempo to some degree in that quarter.
Well, and you certainly look at what they did with that full court press, which saw a little bit in the first half and then a lot more in the third quarter. Again, just slowing Puerto Rico down a little bit. Puerto Rico broke it fairly easily most times, but you still, I mean, again, it's not always about turnovers. It's about changing pace. It's about throwing a team out of rhythm, and I think in some ways they did that. Puerto Rico a little slower from the three-point line in that third.
They basically played them even this quarter, and you can imagine, if you replicate that, I mean, it's only 10 minutes of a game, but if they were able to replicate that 3 other times, it's quite the contrast from what we saw in the first 2 quarters for sure. And the 3-pointers weren't, I mean, when they got them, they hit them, but they didn't have nearly as many open looks from 3 as they did in the first 2 quarters.
And again, you get a good look on those two replays right there. They're the long-range shooting and then the passing ability of Puerto Rico. And there's that score moments ago from Marta on the dish from Monsac. And they're the late 3 right at the buzzer for Kuzmanik. And that's where we sit, 85-37 through 3 quarters.
That was the
of
15th
play.
triple of the game. So 45 points from beyond the arc. That is.
So the numbers are a little more in this hemisphere for Puerto Rico after that third quarter. 50% shooting from the field, still over 50% from the 3-point line. So still shooting very well, but they definitely did cool off in that third quarter, which, I mean, the pace they were on is just not possible to maintain.
Well, the other thing, too, is they're 16 and 18 from the line. So they've been getting to the line and they've been hitting them from there, too. So really just, it was almost a perfect first 20 minutes of the game displayed by Puerto Rico. But as I said, a lot of credit to what the Dominicans have done here in the second half. And we'll see if they continue to build on it here for the final 10 minutes and do something that they can take into their game on Saturday, which, of course, against Cuba will be the first game of 2 here on Saturday. That will be 2:30 local, 4:30 Eastern.
And those 2 teams played a very close game, I should say, at the AmeriCup. Cuba beating Dominican Republic 65-62 back in September. Shot clock violation against Dominican Republic. Doug McLean along with Brian Swain here at Expo Center, Hall D here in Edmonton. Guathme finds the cutting Rosado, kicks it out O'Neill, extra pass, Quinones on the floor, elbow jumper, in and out, rebound Monsac.
Nice step feint to get the open look there, just couldn't get the jumper to fall.
And Evangelista thought that she had number 12, Caceres, on that quick dish on off the rebound, but Caceres had slid under the rim and that ball sailed harmlessly out of bounds. Rosado to Guathme. Quinones turns the ball over, and now Jimenez up the floor. Crossover to the left. Runner won't go. Quinones rebound, and now Rosado out on the break. Great ball movement. Lozada, easy score. And back at the other end, Guathme banged up a little bit, telling her head coach, Gerardo Batista, no, I'm good, I'm good. She's wincing though, and she is gonna come off. Usually the coaches win those debates.
Well, I mean,
players
especially
don't win those very often.
In this situation, I mean, you're up 50 points. What's the sense of risking anything more?
And Guathme, a pretty key player for this team.
Yeah.
Played at James Madison, the NCAA. The only player in this game that was drafted in the WNBA back in 2016, second round, 14th overall by the Minnesota Lynx. Didn't play with the Lynx, did play a little bit of time in San Antonio and Indiana in the WNBA. So she is a pretty crucial player for this Puerto Rican team. Foul coming up here to the Dominican Republic.
Played just over 18 minutes tonight, and she scored 7 points, had a couple boards and an assist as well.
Foul on Marta, her second, team's first in this fourth quarter.
And just getting back to, you've mentioned it a few times, and I hate to keep beating a dead horse here, but the depth of this team, they have 7 players with at least 7 points already here. We're early in the fourth quarter, so that can certainly grow as maybe some more players come off the bench and get minutes in the final portion of this game. So depth is going to be key. I mean, you know, it's one thing in a game like this when it's basically been a blowout from the jump, but in more competitive games, that is going to be very significant for this Puerto Rican side.
Yeah, rebounds are fairly even through three quarters, 29-27 in favor of Puerto Rico. Shooting's the other one, and we talked about turnovers, but shooting's the other one where there's a big discrepancy, obviously, with Dominican Republic shooting only 28%, while Puerto Rico, who did cool off, 52% through three quarters of play.
And also notable here as we look at these third quarter stats, since they implemented the press, it was 28-2 points off turnovers at halftime, 33-8 now after three quarters, so it was actually a 6-5 edge for the Dominicans in that third quarter. So I think they have been able to impose the pace or impose their style of play a little bit more here.
Puerto Rico only 6 of 17 from the field in the third quarter. Inbound to Monsac, defended by Quinones. Evangelista tries to find the cutting Hernandez, but there's an offensive foul. And that will go on Marlon Caceres. And thanks for tuning in here to the FIBA Women's Olympic Pre-Qualifying Tournament from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Those of you tuning in not quite sure where Edmonton or Alberta is, you probably know where Canada is, you may not know the other two. Alberta in the western part of the country, Edmonton the capital city of the province of Alberta, and the central to northern part of the province. city of 1.5 million people. And strong basketball, women's basketball history. Lozada fouled by Monsac again as Puerto Rico gets out on the break. And just to finish my point, yes, Edmonton long a women's basketball home. The Edmonton Grads, the all-time winningest team in women's basketball history anywhere. Over 500 wins in their history between 1915 and 1940. As you get a look there at Lozada Cabaj about to take the free throw to finish the three-point play, will not drop.
Start of this fourth quarter has looked a lot closer to the first two than the third.
Marta gains a handle. Now Hernandez loses it momentarily, gets it back. Marta, tough job there against Quinones, and she will draw the foul.
Well, that's been really how the Dominicans have been able to make hay here in the second half.
But you see, and you're right, but you see how far Puerto Rico loves to extend that defense. They're content to have their posts out defending on the perimeter, and for the most part, they've defended out there pretty well. Maria Marta misses the first of two.
Well, the Dominicans don't have a three-pointer yet in this game, so certainly they've defended. Not that they seem to prefer the outside shot that much.
Again, this pressure looks more like a 1-2-2 zone press there shown by Puerto Rico when they really extend it to the baseline. Hernandez, thought there might have been a foul on Quinones, no call. Ball loose, Lozada Cabaj picks it up, and now up the floor.
Ripped that right out of her hands.
Kuzmanik into Lozada, jumper strong. Rebound Rodriguez, loses it, tip back, and O'Neal will settle things down for Puerto Rico. Ashley Torres.
There you go.
Another one rains home from long range.
Number 16 on the night for the Puerto Ricans.
Ramirez, a little strong. Marta, rebound. Put back is good.
And they've been doing a better job on the offense glass in the second half as well, creating some second chance shot opportunities.
Quinones trying to find Kuzmanik. That ball's tipped out of bounds into the first row of seats behind the Dominican Republic baseline. Back into the game, Charlene Frias for Dominican Republic. And Anushka Maldonado, Ali Gibson, Sofia Roma, and 22, Danechka Canales. So wholesale changes. Jennifer Jimenez also in for Dominican Republic. And a travel called there against Ashley Torres, played at Portland State. Can you name that one for me?
Pilots.
I don't believe I will.
Or is it Portland that's the Pilots?
Yeah, I think Portland are the Pilots. That's the Vikings.
Ah, yes,
Portland
you're
State.
correct. Ah, you stumped me. I didn't even make it to the second game. Didn't even make it out of the fourth quarter of the first game. You got me.
Gibson does a nice job in traffic to handle that basketball up ahead to Torres. Canales surveys the situation, puts it on the floor, spins, gets held by Frias. Nice spin. As you can see, that whole lane clear up. Tries to dump it down to Maldonado, but gets fouled first. And that will send her to the line as Dominican Republic is in the penalty.
And that was the other thing that stands in contrast in the third quarter for the Dominicans compared to the other three quarters now is that they were able to stay out of foul trouble. Here it is now. We're not even halfway through the fourth. And Puerto Rico's back at the line again, where for the most part tonight they've been almost perfect.
There you get a good look at Danechka Canales, plays with Gigantes in Puerto Rico. Full court man pressure shown by Puerto Rico as they extend their defense. Strong take again from the perimeter. That one by Jennifer Jimenez. As that cut through by De Los Angeles cleared some space for Jimenez in behind. That one a bit strong. Second one missed as well. Roma with the rebound. Gets it back from Torres. There's a foul on the step up by De Los Angeles. She wanted to travel, but that was right in front of us, and that was very obviously a foul before a travel.
Well, you can't get the call if you don't try.
No, and she's still giving the evil eye to the referee, who's choosing to just ignore her at this point. Shot goes for Torres, 4.1 points a game, 1.7 rebounds as a senior at Portland State. Again, more pressure shown here by Puerto Rico. Man pressure as Dominican Republic clears out. Frias behind the back, up and off the window and home. Nice play there by Charlene Frias. Canales at risk of being trapped. Able to get that to Torres, but a nice job by Dominican Republic. And Hernandez lots of time on that pass up ahead, and she'll score.
That might be the first uncontested basket we've seen from them tonight. So, I mean, the press here, it's having an impact.
And that's an over and back by Roma. As Puerto Rico against that 1-2-2 do a nice job getting the ball to the middle of the floor, which is what you want, but you want Roma to turn and face the rim and not back. So another turnover forced by Dominican Republic, who have seen a little more success out of that 1-2-2 zone pressure than they saw from the 1-3-1.
Yeah, they've done some things here that you have to like if you're a Dominican Republic fan, player or coach.
An offensive foul coming up. This one I think is going to go on Yamila Rodriguez.
And that's the 24th foul of the game for the Dominican Republic. So, I mean, it's one of the many narratives that have tell the tale of why this is a 50-point deficit or a 53-point deficit.
Better job there by Puerto Rico against that zone pressure. Canales up and under, won't drop. Tipped out of bounds last by Puerto Rico, so it will be Dominican Republic basketball. 3:56 to go here at the Expo Center, the much brighter Expo Center. You and I did Edmonton's professional team, the Edmonton Stingers games this summer, and they have put in new lighting here at Expo Center since, as Dominican Republic.
Yeah, it really looks great, and of course it's all decorated out here for the pre-qualifying tournament. Really want to encourage anybody who's watching locally here in Edmonton or even anywhere in the Edmonton area, come on out, catch some of the action here, especially if you know how intense and exciting it gets in here if you come to any of those Stingers games. I think we're going to see an example of that coming up in the second game of our doubleheader here later tonight.
The crowd still filing in for the end of this one and the start of the Team Canada game. Jimenez, three goes with Torres right in her face.
First three of the game for the Dominican Republic.
Nice pass up ahead by Salaman, and Maldonado able to score. Maldonado playing for Barateras in the Mexican League, averaging 17.8 points a game, 7.3 rebounds per contest in 16 games. So Pretty good start to the season for her. And again, that is Jimenez. And this has been the one weakness, if there has been one at all, for Puerto Rico. And it's hard to argue with where they're at right now, but Dominican Republic have been able to put the ball on the floor and get to the rim, score or draw fouls. So that's been the one thing from the perimeter where they've been able to break down this Puerto Rican defense a little bit.
Well, if you're just tuning in and you're looking at the score, it's a little bit misleading, at least to what we've seen here in the last two quarters. It's a 32-30 is the point differential here in the second half. So I mean, this is the Dominican Republic they've been able to do some things. They found some things that I think they can carry into Saturday's action.
And there is Stockton, California native Allie Gibson with the triple.
They just might hit 20 before this game is done.
Marta looking for help, finally puts the ball on the floor, finds herself open and scores. Marta for ages was looking for some help and then finally, hey, I'm just gonna do this by myself. With that little fake, that pushed Kuzmanik, or had her lean, I should say, a little bit to the corner and allowed Marta that cleaner look at the rim.
You can see her maybe just off, or actually you can see it in the bottom left, or sorry, the upper left corner of your screen there. Most of Team Canada has gathered and is watching this game from the sidelines.
Canales with another three for Puerto Rico. I think I could just put that on repeat. Save my voice a little bit, considering how many they've hit here so far tonight.
That's the 18th of the game, so got a minute and a half if they're going to try and hit 20. I wouldn't put it past them.
And Hernandez a little bit off balance as she tried to get that shot off. Ends up sailing that one over top of the backboard. So Maldonado inbound to Deshali Salaman. Quickly up to Canales. Nice job there. Closing within that press was Reynoso. Played at Central Connecticut.
It starts with a C.
No, it doesn't actually.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I was just testing you there.
I'll trick you. Well, I'll give you a clue. It's the two letters around the letter C make up the two words in their, start the two words in their team name. And they also share a name with a fairly prominent college basketball program. I'll put it that way.
Well, now I'm really throwing off.
The Central Connecticut Blue Devils.
Okay, so we've had a couple Blue Devils in this game.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Duke Blue Devil.
Sofia Roma and
yeah.
Yoselis Reynoso.
So what do I now? 2 for 4. I've really got to pick this thing up as we move along here this evening.
We're going fairly deep into the NCAA. We haven't exactly stuck you with ACC schools.
Well, I would probably do better. You might want to start breaking out some of the Division 2 or 3 references, if you have any.
I don't know if I have any on here, but maybe might have some in the second game here today.
I look forward to it.
Swung across, now back. Hernandez, three,
Another
good.
one.
So Dominican Republic starting to knock down some threes a little too late.
Yeah, well, they had none in the first 3.5 quarters. They've hit a couple here in the last couple minutes, so.
Gibson finds Maldonado. Back now to Kuzmanik. Into Maldonado. Nice fake. Just that extra little hesitation by Maldonado. Here against Reynoso, you'll see it right there. Gets Reynoso up in the air. That'll be the 4th foul on Yoselis Reynoso. There you get a look at Anushka Maldonado, as mentioned earlier, from Texas Rio Grande Valley in the Western Athletic Conference of the NCAA from Roy, Washington. 15 points, shooting 80% so far in this game. Hits them both.
Been a few standout offensive performances from Puerto Rico here tonight, and she's certainly one of them.
Evangelista swings it over to Reynoso. Hernandez to the corner. Evangelista thought initially about a three, put the ball on the floor. Shot doesn't go. And we've got a tie-up underneath the Puerto Rican rim. It will be Puerto Rico ball. Shot clock is off. Maldonado back to Torres. And they will look to just kill the clock, and that is how it's going to end. A dominating first half by Puerto Rico propels them to a 108-58 victory in their tournament opener here at the FIBA Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament.
Well, that puts them momentarily in first place in the standings at 1-0. Of course, the top two teams of the four that are competing here from tonight through Sunday will advance to the next stage of Olympic qualifying.
There you see, just up behind our broadcast location, the Puerto Rican fans. Obviously very happy with what they saw here today, and it's hard to argue. I mean, that first half was just absolute near perfection for Puerto Rico when they were up 67-22. As you've mentioned a few times, a much more evenly played second half. And so if you're Dominican Republic, yeah, you lost by 50 points. You're not happy by that, but you probably can take some things out of the second half into your game on Saturday against Cuba.
41-36 was the score in the second half, so I mean that looks an awful lot better. And they did some things. They did some things defensively. We saw the press had some effect. It was able to slow the tempo of the game, which I think was a large part of why they were able to limit the scoring of the Puerto Ricans in the second half. We saw they were more aggressive, attacking the basket, drawing contact, getting to the line, scoring there, and even towards the end of the game started making some threes.
Puerto Rico, who were shooting over 60%, both from 2 and 3 points at halftime, under 50% from inside the arc, still above 50 beyond, so they were very good. Rebounds fairly even. The assists, though, that's another thing we talked about, the assist turnovers. 31 turnovers committed by the Dominican Republic, 16 though for Puerto Rico, and a lot of those in the second half. But the way Puerto Rico moved the ball, you see that with the 25 assists. I mean, they were fantastic moving the basketball, really showing that range of offensive skill that they possess.
Much of that was in the first half, but that did the trick. We're able to build up that early lead and cruise to a 50-point victory here tonight at the Edmonton Expo Center.
There you see some of the game leaders tonight. Quinones leading the way for Puerto Rico with 20 points. So a pretty entertaining offensive performance, certainly not a close game, but a pretty entertaining one, and we've got an exciting one coming up. Canada will take on Cuba at the FIBA America Cup. Canada did defeat Cuba by a score of 87-51. So a pretty dominating performance, and Canada's been able to add Kia Nurse, Natalie Ochonwa to their roster. So at home, Canada in a pretty good spot right now, but Cuba, a team that is not one to be ignored.